Hello and welcome to Let's Master English, the podcast for learners who are ready to go from understanding English to actually speaking it. I'm your host, and today I want to share something personal. I want to talk about the silent wall. You know what I mean, right? That moment. Maybe you're in a cafe, a new city, a dream holiday. The air is buzzing with English chatter. In your head, you're a linguistic genius. You're witty, you're fluent, you've got the perfect thing to say. And then, it happens. The barista, the shopkeeper, a friendly stranger turns to you and asks a simple question. "What can I get for you?" And silence. Your mind, just a moment ago a library of perfect English phrases, is suddenly empty. It's like a wall just slammed down between your brain and your mouth. All those grammar rules you memorized? Gone. The vocabulary lists? Vanished. You managed to stammer out a single word, your cheeks are burning, and you just feel, well, a bit silly. If that sounds familiar, I need you to know, you are not alone. For years, I was trapped behind that silent wall. On paper, I was a solid B1, maybe even a B2 learner. I could read articles, I could watch movies with subtitles, no problem. But speaking? That was a terrifying, different world. This isn't going to be a story about some magic pill for fluency. This is the real story. The sometimes messy, sometimes awkward, but ultimately successful story of how I, and so many people I've met from all over the world, finally learned to tear down that wall, brick by brick. And it's the story of how you can too. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about how to unlock the English that's already inside you. Okay, so let's start with the biggest, scariest brick in that wall. The very first one, just starting a conversation. The fear is real, isn't it? The fear of making a mistake, of sounding stupid, of not understanding what they say back. It can be completely paralyzing. For the longest time, I let that fear win. I'd have these amazing, fluent conversations in the shower, but out in the real world? Silence. My breakthrough, my first little crack in that wall, came from a language exchange app. Honestly, I was terrified to try it, but the idea of talking to someone on the other side of the world, another learner, felt safer, a little less intimidating. I remember my first call so clearly. It was with a wonderful woman from Japan named Yumi. We were both so nervous. Our conversation was, well, it was full of pauses and ums and ahs, but we were patient with each other. We used simple sentences. When we didn't know a word, we tried to describe it. It was slow, it was far from perfect, but it was a conversation. I had spoken English, and for the first time, I felt a tiny crack of light shining through my silent wall. That experience taught me the most important lesson. You do not need to be perfect to start. You just need to start. So, how can you do it? First, arm yourself with conversation starters. Before you go into a situation where you might speak English, prepare. Have a few easy questions ready. It can be as simple as, "This is a lovely cafe, isn't it?" Or, "I'm a bit lost. Could you help me find the train station?" Having these in your back pocket feels like having a secret superpower. A friend of mine, Javier from Spain, he used to write interesting facts on a small card. At a party, he'd look at it and say, "Hey, did you know that?" It was a brilliant, low-pressure way to get a conversation going. Second, find your safe space. This is your training ground. Think of language exchange apps, online conversation clubs, or even a very patient friend. These are places where you can practice without the pressure. I met a software developer from Brazil, Maria, who told me she joined an online gaming community. At first, she just typed in the chat box, but soon, hearing everyone else talking, she felt brave enough to join the voice chats. Gaming gave her this fun, relaxed way to practice speaking in real time without even thinking about it. And third, embrace what I call the English for a moment strategy. You don't need to launch into a deep philosophical debate. Start small, really small. Order your coffee in English. Ask for the price of something in a shop. Say good morning to a colleague. These tiny interactions, they're like little confidence boosters. They make speaking English feel less like a huge, scary performance and more like a normal part of your day. Okay, so you're starting to talk. Amazing. You've made a crack in the wall. Now, how do we make that crack bigger? How do we turn it into a doorway we can walk through? This is the next stage, moving towards fluency. And I'll be honest, this part of the journey is a marathon, not a sprint. It's all about small, consistent steps. First up, vocabulary. I used to think fluency meant knowing every word in the dictionary. It doesn't. Fluency is just about having the right words ready when you need them. So, how do we build a vocabulary that actually works in conversation? Well, I learned to stop memorizing long lists of single words. Instead, I started learning phrases, or chunks. So, instead of just the word decision, I learned to make a decision, a tough decision, to come to a decision. It instantly made me sound more natural. A friend from Poland, Agnieszka, keeps a phrase book on her phone. Whenever she hears a good phrase in a movie or a podcast, maybe even this one, she writes it down. Then she makes it her mission to use that phrase in a conversation that week. Another thing is to make it personal. Our brains love connections. I use a flashcard app that lets me add pictures. So if I learn the word breathtaking, I find a picture of a breathtaking place I've visited. Then I try to make a sentence about my own life. The view from that mountain in Switzerland was breathtaking. Suddenly, the word belongs to me. And please, read and listen for pleasure. Don't force yourself to read boring articles. Find something you love. Are you into gardening, cooking, football? Find blogs, YouTube channels, and podcasts about that topic in English. You'll be so interested in the content, you won't even notice you're learning. I heard this from Lee, a student from China. He's a huge fan of a British TV show. He told me he watched every episode 3 times, first with subtitles in his language, then with English subtitles, and finally with no subtitles at all. He said he learned so much natural-sounding English, slang and all, just from doing that. Now, let's talk about your ears. You can't have a conversation if you don't understand what the other person is saying, right? Improving your listening is just as important as speaking. I used to find native speakers so incredibly fast. The key is active listening. Don't just have the TV on in the background. Pay attention. Listen not just for the words, but for the music of the language, the intonation, the rhythm. A great exercise is to watch a short video clip, maybe a movie trailer or a news report, and then pause it and try to summarize what was said out loud. It really forces you to focus. And podcasts. Podcasts are your best friend. There's a podcast for everything. You can start with one for English learners that's a bit slower, and then, as you get more confident, you can move on to podcasts made for native speakers about topics you love. And in a real conversation, it is perfectly okay to say, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that," or "Could you say that again, please?" Honestly, people are usually happy to help. A friend of mine, Fatima from Saudi Arabia, now works as a journalist in London. She told me this was a huge breakthrough for her. She used to just nod and smile when she didn't understand. But that just leads to more confusion. The moment she started asking people to repeat themselves, her conversations became so much deeper and more meaningful. Finally, let's talk about pronunciation. One of my biggest fears was that people wouldn't understand my accent. Now let me be clear. Having an accent is a beautiful thing. It's part of your story. The goal isn't to sound like a perfect British or American newsreader. The goal is simply to be understood. My secret weapon for this was a technique called shadowing. It sounds a bit strange, but it works. You listen to a short piece of audio, and you repeat what the person is saying as they are saying it. You try to copy everything: their pronunciation, their rhythm, their intonation. It feels weird at first, but it's like training the muscles in your mouth. And yes, I'm going to say it. Record yourself. I know, nobody likes the sound of their own voice, but it's such a powerful tool. When you listen back, you can hear the things you need to work on. Maybe you'll notice you're struggling with the th sound, or that your sentences sound a bit flat. It gives you a clear target to work on. Okay? You're starting conversations, you're building your vocabulary and tuning your ear. You're feeling more confident. What's next? The final push towards real fluency is about moving beyond just studying English and starting to live in it. This is where the real magic happens. And the biggest tip I can give you here is to start thinking in English. I know it sounds a bit strange, but it's a game changer. When you think in your native language and then translate in your head, it's slow, it's clunky, and it sounds unnatural. Start small, just for a few minutes a day. When you're making your coffee in the morning, describe it to yourself in your head. I'm boiling the water now. I'm putting coffee in the cup. It feels a little silly, but after a while, it becomes a habit. And then one day, you'll just find yourself thinking in English without even trying. That's a sign that the language is truly becoming a part of you. Create an English-only bubble for yourself. Change the language on your phone. Follow English-speaking accounts on social media. Watch your favorite YouTubers in English. Listen to English music on your commute. The more you surround yourself with the language, the more your brain accepts it as normal. A friend from Latvia, Robbie, who speaks incredible English now, told me he used to talk to himself in English all day while doing a repetitive job. He'd have imaginary conversations, describe what he was doing. He said it was an amazing way to practice without any pressure at all. And one last practical tip: get a journal, a simple notebook, and every evening write a few sentences in English about your day. Don't worry about perfect grammar. Just get your thoughts onto the paper. It helps you learn how to structure your thoughts in English, and it gives you a fantastic record of your progress. On a bad day, you can look back a few months and see just how far you've come. So we come to the end of our chat today, and I want to finish with the most important piece of advice I can possibly give you. Embrace your mistakes. Please, let that sink in. For years, the fear of making a mistake kept me silent. But mistakes are not your enemy. They are your teachers. Every single time you make a mistake and someone corrects you, or you realize it yourself, you are learning. You are growing. Some of my best vocabulary words are the ones I learned after making a really funny or embarrassing mistake. I once tried to compliment a friend on her new chic haircut, but I said it looked like a chick. We both laughed so hard, and I can promise you, I have never mixed up those two words again. The journey to fluency is not a straight line. There will be good days and there will be bad days. There will be days you feel like a communication superstar and days you feel like you can't even say your own name. That is okay. It's part of the process. The only thing that matters is that you keep going. That silent wall I told you about at the beginning, it's gone. It's been replaced by a bridge that connects me to people and cultures and ideas from all over the world. A bridge that has given me new friends, new opportunities, and a whole new perspective on life. Building that bridge took time, and it took effort, but it was worth every single moment. And I know with all my heart that you can build your own bridge too. So, take a deep breath, be kind to yourself, and just take that first step. Say something, anything. Your future, fluent self will thank you for it. Thanks for listening to English Unlocked. Join me next time as we continue to break down the walls and unlock the English speaker inside you. Until then, keep practicing.